All right. Welcome back to the Nothing is Wrong podcast. I have another Enlifted coach today, so I have to say negation acknowledged. And welcome to the show, Jenna Cain.
Thanks for having me, Brooks.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So we were just about to get into something.
We already started the podcast prior to
Yeah,
starting the
we did.
podcast.
And I messed up by not having recorded yet. So, did you want to give a quick intro to, if you can put yourself into a box somewhat, of like who you are,
Sure.
what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a physical therapist. I've been a physical therapist for 16 years, primarily working in the pediatric realm. The past 3 years, I've left the schools, left pediatrics, and run my own studio out of my house. So I work with um, moms, parents, uh, working on bringing their bodies out of stress. And we look at not only the physical but the mental and emotional components of that as well. And so within that time frame, I've developed different professional developments that I've taken back into the schools. So I left the schools, but I'm kind of still in the schools, right? One called Empowered Educators. So that program, I focus on talking to teachers about bringing their bodies out of stress, getting into their mindset, which we know. I'm sure you've had other Enlifted coaches on here, but mindset's the story that you tell yourself. So getting into the stories that teachers are telling themselves about with their job, the kids in the classroom, you name it. And now the most recent program is Enlifted Parents, which I'm super excited about. And as we were just talking about, Enlifted Parents is the title thing is a regulated parents, resilient kids.
Mm.
Regulated parents. And so we were talking about prior to starting this, okay, what is a regulated parent? And you have one little girl? Is that right,
Yeah,
Brooks?
and
You have okay.
she's 11 months. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. You got to start soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and on the and what regulation means to me, at least at this point in my life, ooh, I got tested by that very quickly, unlike anything I ever have before, from like obviously the first month she was born. So,
What is that, just like because of sleep?
well, that
Sleep, your wife,
I think
you know.
like that, yes, and
Hmm.
uh it was the first moment in my life where like I was watching in real time my brain like short circuiting on not being able to project my own like uncomfortability on anybody else because I'm
Hmm.
like holding this crying baby and it's a baby. She has no, like that's my like there's no one to blame for this. I just have to sit with this discomfort and sit with her because she was, I mean, she was a the first few months she was. I mean, from what I've heard, it was my
Yeah.
first kid, but from grandparents and people, uh, and I don't want to derail this conversation too
No, no, no,
quick,
this is
but
perfect.
well, she just she'd cry nonstop a lot. Like
Hmm.
she was born early. She was really small, and not that I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but just uh just a whaler, and it was really
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in those, well, I have two kids now that are 13 and 11.
Okay.
And so I used to think back to, because I worked in the schools and I worked in like a low income school district. So we had kids that I would see the kids at 3. And so we would have parents and kids come in, and let's just say some of those parents may have been using,
Mm,
drugs or were addicted to something or whatever. And, these kids would come in with like bruises on them
mm,
and scared of like anybody like even reaching towards them. And so go back to like regulation, like you were aware of like, oh gosh, something's going on. Like I don't like this is a lot for me. What about the people that don't even have that ability to know that that story's running in their head? And then like, what do I actually do about it?
yeah.
So to me, regulation is like being aware that there is a story running and then understanding, okay, now what do I do with this story? What am I making this mean about me? Also, what options do I have? Because dysregulation to me is like you can't see any other options but the single choice that you want to make.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
to make it simple. You know what I mean?
yeah. You're totally fused with whatever your mind is telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, and then dysregulation, I mean, then what are you passing on to your kids? Because that's what they're seeing. Oh,
Hmm.
this is how mom or dad deals with stressful situations. They put their hands on people, they scream, they yell, they break things, they run away, you name it. I don't know. Pick your poison. There's a lot of different ways to handle situations when you're dysregulated, right?
Yeah.
And so what if, and that, with this parent program, it's looking at, okay, well, how did I even develop this mindset around parenting in the first place? Because did you just get it? I mean, there's not really a playbook on parenting.
Hmm.
We were parent, like we had parents. So there's a component of that was passed down to us, right?
Yeah.
There's some software running. Like, do we realize that software is running? What are we running? Do we need an upgrade? How do we upgrade it? So that's what's going to be happening in this workshop, is looking at all those pieces and components, and then finding out, okay, what is my new software that I want to run? Or do I like some of these things? Because it's not all bad, right? We got some, I'm sure we have some good things going on with us, with parents.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. The okay, there's like so many different directions.
Yeah.
All right, first and foremost, I find it interesting that when you talked about dysregulation, because before this started we were like, yeah, what is I said it's a buzzword. Like, everywhere I look on Instagram, there's like, you're dysregulated, and the amount of like solutions people are providing to that is insane, which I think we can maybe get to what's underneath that, but you'll see people talking about gut health with that. You'll see people talking about hormones with that. You'll see people talking about breath work with that. You'll see people. It's endless.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things you said there was being mindful of the story you're telling yourself. So how do you think about that connection? Because I'll be honest, and this has shifted since Enlifted for me, but
Mm-hmm.
before Enlifted, like when I saw that terminology, regulation, dysregulation, I always just thought like bottom up. Like, I never thought mindset, story in your head. I always
Oh,
thought
yeah.
body based only. So how do you
Well,
think about the yeah,
yeah, absolutely. But I feel like that's our society, right? It's
yeah,
like, oh, um, like you said, I mean, gut health is important, right? But if the things that you're putting in your mouth, you don't believe are going to help you anyways, do you think you're a broken person?
yeah,
You don't like yourself anyhow. Guess what? And that, like the physiological effect of that is going to be like, oh, well, she doesn't believe this works anyways, so it's probably not going to work, which sounds wild. But then you look at like the placebo effect and all of those types of things. I mean, there's like science out there that can prove that like our thoughts make a big difference about what goes into our mouth and our bodies and how we assimilate that, and like how we use it, and
yeah,
the results we get from it,
yeah.
even exercise. So it's funny you say this. So I'll give you a story about myself. So I um, had chronic pain for 18 years. I got mono in high school, went to college, played soccer, continued to ignore all the symptoms that my body was giving me, and pushed through, got out of college. Next thing you know, I couldn't even lift my shoulders up. I couldn't lift my arms up. I put on 25 pounds. So I went from being a Division I athlete to like, has this girl ever seen a gym? Like, what's
Mm,
wrong with her? I went to everybody, Brooks. I went to everybody. I spent so much money, acupuncture, functional health doctors, um, GI doctors, all of these different things. I had shingles on and off for 8 years. Like, nothing was helping. And it wasn't until and this sounds very simple, but Perry Nicholson was in your level one, which
hmm.
I literally almost started crying when I was talking to him, because I don't think he gets like the profound impact that his teachings had on me. But it wasn't until my lymphatic system, I started opening up my lymphatic system, moving toxins out of my body, breathing, so bringing my body out of stress daily. And then when I added, I started feeling super, super good. And I was like, okay, how long is this going to last? Because then I had a story like, well, I feel good now, but I don't know how long it's going to last. And I just kept going with that. And then I found Enlifted. And then I started implementing that. And then it's been 4 years. I've had no symptoms of any of those things. I feel fantastic. Um, but it's interesting to me because none of those things came from, yes, I learned those things from other people, from amazing mentors and teachers. But I did not have to go to anybody else for the answer. I had all the answers within me. I
Mm,
just didn't know how to listen to my body. So, yes, we get physical symptoms, right? But to me, those are messages. How do we interpret those messages? There's not a lot of people out there that know how to help you interpret those messages and what's that saying to you. Because all of my stuff was on the left side of my body.
interesting.
And like any other person I went to was just like, oh, I don't know, and then you get into some of, some of the woo woo stuff and it's like, well,
Oh
that's the
yeah.
feminine energy and blah, 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 blah. And then, so there's just things that I didn't realize that I was carrying until I got into the mindset work. But I
Got it.
also had to bring my body out of stress in order to even open my awareness to like other possibilities. Because in my mind, it was like, well, my gut's messed up. Oh, I'm sensitive to gluten. Like I need to, cut dairy out. And I did all those things and I got bigger. Like I was like, obviously that's not working.
Yeah. Oh, that resonates a lot for me with a lot of different things.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure with your business too, right? I mean, you probably talk to a lot of people, and the fact that you do mindset work with it, you are such a special person that the fact that if people can find you and know what they're gonna get, like they're getting more than just,
oh my God, people have
oh,
no idea.
they have no idea, and it's
They have no
it's
clue.
difficult to explain, right?
Yeah.
Because until you have that experience, it's like this way out there concept because that is not how our society looks at health. There are people that obviously do look at it like that, but the majority do not look at it health that way.
I have like four different things going on in my brain right
Yeah.
now. So, okay. Number one, uh, it's so interesting because it's like any one of those things you did, like you talked about opening up your lymphatic system, or
Mm-hmm.
if even if you change your diet, like, and this was true for me for sure for years. Like I was viewing those. I mean, the biggest thing you mentioned that stuck out to me was like if you go at those from like a fix me state, something's
Mm-hmm.
wrong with me and I need a solution out there to fix me, it keeps you so disempowered because it's just a matter of time because it's like, oh, it didn't work. Like I knew I was broken type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's interesting because, so you mentioned placebo. Uh, Bruce Lipton, I'm sure you're familiar with, who's
Mm-hmm.
freaking amazing. Like, and for anybody listening, like just a few of my favorite of these studies is like, okay, number one, they cut people's knees open. Literally, they had people with or
Yep.
not atherosclerosis, arthritis, right, in their knees. And they took three groups, and one of the groups they cut open, brought them in the surgery room, cut them open, and did nothing in the knee, stitched it up, and I think it's like 12 or 18 months later, there was no difference in improvement in pain, improvement in function from the people that actually had their knee cleaned up a little bit. So that one's just insane. But in the fitness world, there's one where they took a couple milkshakes and they made a low calorie milkshake that wasn't super high calorie, but they told them it was super high calorie. And the group that got the low calorie one but were told it was super high calorie, had a crazy outsized reaction in blood sugar response and a couple other markers. And then there's one where they take maids cleaning for a living and they
Mm-hmm.
take a group of the maids and they tell them the work you do in your job day to day is enough to be effective exercise. And that group had a difference in like their cardiovascular and some muscle gain, I want to say, from literally like vacuuming and stuff because they believed it was effective exercise. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's it's an interesting world out there because I was listening to Bruce on this one guy's podcast, the lifestylist. What's his name again?
Oh, is it Luke's
Luke Story.
story?
And Luke's story, because people get into this mode, like you see it with Ben Greenfield. It's like the more you optimize and fix, the more you find that needs to be optimized and fixed. And so I'm so glad you brought up the like it was all within me, and I just had to
It's
uncover that.
shocking though when you really stop and think about it, because I feel like we just don't look at it long enough to really take it in and be like, wait a second, what does that mean about us as humans? Like they even had a study along the same lines of like a mammary ligation, like in the heart. They did the same thing. They cut both groups out open, right? One, they fixed it, one they didn't. The group that they did not fix got better, had better results. Like, make it make sense.
So we actually actively fucked up the group that had the intervention.
I mean, I think they had
They
like
didn't get
if
worse,
I had
but
the numbers right, it was like 60%, and then like the group that they didn't do anything had like an 80% improvement in all their symptoms. But that's wild to me because to me then what's causing the heart issue? Is it believing that you have a heart issue causing the heart issue? You know?
mm-hmm.
What and then if you believe, oh yeah, they took care of this, it's like, okay, does your stress go down? I bet it does, because you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I did something to fix this. Somebody else did, even if someone else came in and had to like put their expertise around it. But like that blows my mind every single time.
It's so and it's so relieving because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, like I don't have to become something different. I don't have to go fix my. I just have to find things. And the way I look at it, you have to find the things that are getting in the way of your own innate wholeness and
Mm-hmm.
health and healing capacities,
Mm-hmm.
which is way cooler and a lot easier of a job because we don't know what the hell is going on. Like,
We've made it so difficult. We have, and I say we because I think as a society we've made it very difficult
yeah,
to be like a resilient, thriving adult or person in this world. It's like going outside this morning when I first woke up to just look at the sun, stand in the grass, take like 6 deep breaths. Like, was it that hard?
right.
And I went on a walk. I just walked around the block one time. And I'm like, man, this really doesn't have to be as difficult as we make it. And I'm guilty too. Is I make things a lot harder than they need to be because I tell myself like, well, I don't have time to do this. Well, I'd have to take another shower if I did that, and then I don't have time for that. But I notice now that's the difference. I notice all of those stories that I'm running
Yeah.
that I have that now I can look at thanks to the Enlifted method, and I can look at and go, that's a lie. That's not true. I'm going to tell myself something different, you know?
Yes.
So that's what I want. That's what I want every client that I have to be aware of. Because it was it Bruce Lipton that, and maybe I'm going to quote people wrong, but it says awareness is curative.
Mm,
No, that was Lieberman, I think.
okay.
I don't know. Whoever's listening
Somebody
can
said
look
it.
that up.
Jenna Cain said it.
Yeah, right. But like awareness is curative. So just being aware of the fact that we have these things running can be curative in itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, because like, oh my God, yeah, enlifted for me as well. Like, I the amount of times in my day where I'll notice something, I'll become aware of one of those stories, and it's like a water off a duck's back. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, there's that, and normally 5 years, 1 year ago, and I'm
Yeah.
sure I'll say the same about today, things I'm not aware of, but I would get caught in that loop, convinced by it. And then there's like, and especially with this conversation with like fixing yourself with health, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. Because then you're like, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to fix my gut. I got
Mm-hmm.
to fix my, and it's like, and once again, I think a lot of those things can be helpful in the right circumstances, but it's the way you go about it because then all of a sudden it's like it's like the definition of putting your happiness out of reach because
Mm-hmm.
there's this lineup of things you have to fix. And so I don't know. That's one of the biggest ones for me is getting distance from that voice in my head that's telling me I have to optimize or something's wrong. And I think that voice shows up strongest. Like if we bring it back to the body side of the conversation, not that they're different, but it's a tricky trap when like we're avoiding emotion
Mm-hmm.
and that shoots us into our head and then our head, oh whoa, good timing, I guess.
I like that.
um, Avoid emotion shoots us into our head and then our head convinces us something's wrong in the body and we have to go fix it. And that was like the perpetuating cycle for me that kept me like searching for just decades, literally.
It's wild because, in my with my belief system, it it says like we need to renew our minds daily.
Mm,
Why do we need to renew our minds daily? For that specific reason.
mm,
Because we keep running these stories and like you add more stuff to it, it gets heavier, you get heavier physically.
yeah,
You hold on to the crap and the toxins and the emotions and the stories, and then you're just so bogged down that you can't even move.
yeah,
And so that's why, to me, renewing your mind daily, writing that story that you want, speaking it out, breathing, feeling it, imagining it, creating this like visual component of it, to me is like the most powerful thing that we can do, and it's simple. But we're not taught that.
yeah.
We really, I mean, maybe some people are. I was not taught that growing up.
I don't know anybody that was.
I was told like stop crying. Somebody else has got it harder than you.
Hmm.
Like push through it, just ignore it. Um, it was just like one thing after the other of just like ignore, 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 ignore. You're not important, whatever the story is, right? Oh, the next thing will make me happy. Oh, this person will make me happy. Oh, this thing will make me happy. And that's what I want, like with Enlifted Parents, that's what I want parents to look at is like, okay, what stories are they running? But also what happens when they shift their story, and then they can guide their kids to do that. Because the last thing that I want is for my kids, especially, I mean, both my kids, but my daughter, looking for satisfaction or like the next thing or thinking that she needs someone else to make her happy. I don't want that for her because, what that could lead to a variety of different options that I don't want her to choose for herself because
Hmm.
ultimately they're not going to make her happy. So that's what I want parents to have for their kids, not, it's not a playbook. It's just a way to like when your daughter gets older, Brooks, and she has, or maybe you have more kids and they come home from school and they have all sorts of problems with their, maybe there was a situation with the teacher or another kid. Instead of like what I would have gotten when I was younger is they're just jealous. Like, what's wrong with that person?
Mm,
They're a terrible person. They're not your friend. Instead of getting that, it's like we can ask better questions to our kids and help guide them through those circumstances. That's what I want parents to be able to have because it's changed how I've parented, and it's so simple, but it's so connecting too. Like I feel so connected to my kids because of this, and I want to be around them, and I mean I've always wanted to be around them, but it makes it even more enjoyable.
yeah. Have you heard of hand in hand parenting?
No.
Okay. Um, there's a book. It's called Listen by her name is Patty Whipfler. She's like the founder of Hand in Hand. But essentially, I found it from Joe Hudson, and he recommends it. But that's what you mentioned connection. That's the entire premise of it. And I think it would complement Enlifted Parents really well because the entire premise of Hand in Hand is kids act out when they don't feel connected, and that's it. And then the practice is let them fully have their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Also have a boundary. Don't
Yeah.
reject the emotion, but say, hey, we're not doing this or we're not doing that. If that's what makes sense. And in the moments where they're acting out, so to speak, or doing something that isn't ideal, you need to connect. And like that was, it's eye opening because what do you see people do? Like, kid is acting out, you reject them, it creates more disconnection,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're just stewing on their own. Versus this approach talks about, like, no, that's them. Number one, they need to get the emotion out. Like, it's not about the toy in the store that you said they couldn't have. It's a
Right.
pent up emotion that's been building for a while that they haven't released. Let them get that out, repair, and that's all they need. Like, someone there connected to them. So,
Yeah. And I would say too with parents parenting, when you have those moments, it depending on the situation, right? Because like in the schools we work with, we have kids that are on an IEP, so it might be for like social emotional support, OT, PT, speech, whatever it may be. But these kids have emotions, right? Like they're processing through a lot of stuff. Our kids have emotions. What I have found with my own kids is that that connection piece might not come right then.
mm,
It might come the next day where
mm,
you can create time to say like, hey, I want you to tell me about when they're, you're not going to do this with like a 2-year old or 3-year old, whatever.
right.
But tell me about what you were thinking yesterday. Like what happened? And because a lot of times what I've noticed with my kids, I think I know what they're feeling and thinking and why they're doing it. And it's very rarely what I think it is, which that to
Uh,
me has been like a mind blowing situation. With my daughter, this was a couple years ago. We got like baby chicks. I should say my brother bought us baby chicks.
how nice of
Well,
him.
so nice of him. But he got us the eggs in an incubator and all the things, right?
Nice.
So we had the eggs in the incubator, the kids were turning them, they were making sure the temperature's right, all this stuff. Well, we'd gone to visit him, and I think my brother, he's a jokester. But he was playing the song and it was kind of like a sad song, and he told my daughter, he's like, "Hey, you can play this when the baby chicks die," or something like that. And he was joking, but I didn't even hear this conversation, so I didn't even know any of this happened. Well, here comes nightmares for the next like 2 or 3 nights of her like getting up, coming
Mm,
in the room, crying. We're not really sure what's going on. She's not talking. So then after like the third night, the next morning, I was like, "Hey, tell me, like what's going on at night?" And she's like, "I don't want to talk about it." I'm like, "Okay." Would you wanna do you wanna write about it? So she was like, "Okay." So her story, I brought it over here just so I don't mess it up because I'll do that. She wrote, because in the Enlifted method, we're writing like paragraphs sometimes.
yeah.
With kids, it's like it's very simple. She
Okay.
wrote, she wrote, "I keep thinking the baby chicks that aren't even born yet are dead." I was like, okay, because I had no idea that this
Right.
is what the nightmare thing was about, right? And I'm like, okay. So then I just started asking questions like, okay, when you read that, what do you feel? Because she's 13 now. So this was when she was like 11 and a half.
Okay.
And she said, "Well, I feel guilty." And I was like, "Okay, where do you feel that guilt in your body?" And she's like, "Well, I feel it on the left side of my chest." Cool. And so for those of you listening, we just ask those questions because it's like, okay, identify where you feel that in your body, because these emotions that we have do elicit these physical symptoms. It's just bringing awareness so that everything is connected. Um, and then I asked her like, where did this come from? And she told me she's like, "Uncle Ryan said this to me." Um, and then she's like, "It made me feel like my baby chicks were going to die." And I was like, "What does that mean about?" I'm like, "Well, these baby chicks are still in the egg. So how do you know that?" And she's like, "Well, I don't." And she's like, and I was like, "Well, what does this mean about other people's words? Other things that people say to you?" She's like, "Well, this means that other people's words can affect me, right? If I believe them." So again, we're just having this conversation about like, okay, other people's words, are powerful if I believe them. I can create a news story. And we wrote out these things, or she wrote these out. It said like, I choose my thoughts, I choose my words, I choose life, I choose joy for these future baby chickens. I'm laughing because it's just funny because the kids are great. Um, oh, she wrote, I have a loving mommy. My voice matters and my family listens to me. I speak my truth even in challenging situations. So like we had walked through all these different things, but my point is that I would have never known what was going on with her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially if I was to yell at her at night, like, get back in your bed, what's wrong? She wasn't ready to process through that. But if we have a tool that we can work through with our kids, it's so powerful because then you're like, oh, she's so sensitive, but she was also able to understand that like people's words can affect how she feels, how she sleeps, right? The thoughts that she's thinking. So we have that conversation a lot about, um, you know, is this true? Like if someone
Mm-hmm.
says something about you, is this true? And like, how do you feel about this? Like, how can we shift this? Or, what is it you need to look at? And then Reese, my little boy, he loves Star Wars, and he said, "You know what, Mom? My favorite Yoda quote is like, failure. I think it's like failure is the best teacher, or like something like that." But I think it's just interesting for my kids to talk like this because that is not how I was when I was 11 and 13. I was not
No.
thinking about any of those things. And I
No.
truly believe it's because I've asked them questions,
Yeah.
I've listened to them, they've like gone through these methods of drawing pictures or writing these thoughts out and looking at them and processing through it. We talk about like emotional um intelligence.
Mm.
This is like one of the best ways to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Asking them questions and getting them to just refer to their internal state and see, and reflect. Like, that's awesome.
Well, and then like when I was a kid, if I would have brought that to my parents, they would be like, "Ugh, he's an idiot.
You're
Don't
right.
listen to him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He's an
That,
idiot. Don't listen to him. That's not true."
yeah. Yeah. Well, and that is interesting, like what you said earlier about if somebody's bullying you at school or there's a conflict at school, to like, what belief does that instill in a child if you're saying that person is just, a jerk, or like
Hmm.
labeling that other kid as completely bad, black or white, all or nothing, like that is a bad person. Don't associate with
Hmm.
them. Versus those questions you were demonstrating. So, okay, so I love all of that. I think this kind of ties back to how we were starting the podcast off, where it's like a lot of parents aren't in the place internally with themselves to be able to
Hmm.
have the space and the patience to ask, this is myself included at times, to
Yeah.
ask questions. Uh, so when you zoom out and look at like, okay, someone wants to be a better parent or be the best parent they can be, um, where does the questions piece fit in to the Enlifted Parents stuff? Like, I know you mentioned earlier parents' stories. Would you say that
Yeah.
comes before this element?
Yes. The parent stories come first,
Okay.
right? Like later on in the workshop, we have 6 different modules. Um, as Mark England likes to say, answers push, questions pull, right? But a lot of us don't even know what questions to ask our kids.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing we've had a long discussion on is like, yeah, it sounds great. Like, awesome. Like, what the heck do I ask them?
Yeah.
So we have a whole like list of questions and we're going to play
Oh,
games
love
with
it.
like, yeah, it's going to be really really fun. I'm excited about it. But we have some because we have this component where it's like we're playing with like, okay, what do answers feel like? Here's a situation, here's the answers, read them out loud. What does it feel like? Where do you feel that in your body? What's the mental image? And then shifting to like, okay, well, what questions could you ask? How does that feel? What's the difference there? Because to me, with everything else, parents have to have this experience to know like, oh, this isn't like silly. simple. I mean, it is simple when you come down to it, but it's not silly because it creates an experience within you, and it shifts how what you're seeing. It shifts how you feel about, you know, how do you feel, Brooks, when someone just tells you what to do all the time?
Mm.
It's like you want to go the opposite direction.
Oh
You're
my
like,
God.
oh, I'm not going there, especially with parents and kids, right? Parents or kids are not going to come to you with questions, concerns, especially the really uncomfortable things, right? That they're like, you want them to come to you versus their friends who knows what they're going to say to them, which they're still going to go to their friends.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you want them to come to you so you can have those honest conversations. Um, and so to me, the questions come a little bit later after the parents can clean up whatever story they're telling themselves, because it was the same thing in the human garage community. I helped co-create the parent and child's component of that. Well, where parents would come in and say like, oh, my kid's got this rash, and or they have this behavior, or they have this stomach issue, and they're like, tell me how to fix my kid. And it's like, well, we're actually first going to start with you.
Mm.
So we started with them bringing their body out of stress, cleaning up their internal and external environment. And then when the parent did that, guess what? Their kid got better without them doing anything. Talk to me about that. That is wild, right?
Yeah.
And you know Chase Tolson. He talks about entrainment a lot, like the big clock, the grandfather clock that like gets all the other clocks in the room in the same frequency,
Yeah.
tone, vibration. You know, they all start swinging the same way. That's what parents are in the household. They're controlling that environment with their kids.
I think that is so important because there is it's something I don't want to understand. Like it's so deep, the resonance,
Mm-hmm.
that because when I first started reading about any sort of quote unquote trauma, that sort of thing, you immediately just think of like, well, my parents didn't hit me. My parents weren't like raging alcoholics. My parent, there wasn't any
Mm-hmm.
sexual abuse. I had
Right.
a, like, I think that's a very common way of looking at like uh, development. It's like, were there any big T traumas? No. Okay, I had a great childhood, right? And so I think it's super important to bring up like, it's not just like not actively screaming, not actively, God forbid, hitting a child, like, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is less and less these days, but it happens, right? There's a felt resonance of, and I also think a felt absence of presence if you're just sitting on your phone. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's funny, like you talk about like trauma, because it was the same for me. Like I feel like I had a really good childhood. I had
yeah,
fun. I enjoyed my life. I liked going to school, um and it's like these little things that, you know, okay, you're not as fast as the other girls. Like you're not as tall. You got to work harder. You have to work harder for less.
hmm,
You know, it's like these different things that you just pick up in your childhood. Like money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, you're always gonna have to work a couple jobs, Jenna, and that's just how it is. Or, eh, you name it. It's like the little sentences that get said to you, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's true about my life. Like, and then you start to act out and make certain choices because you believe those things.
hmm,
And one of mine was, I just always want to keep the peace. I want to make sure everybody's happy. Um, I don't like to get in trouble. I don't like people to be upset with me. And so that's carried over into even my business, like not showing up on social media because I don't want to offend anybody,
mm,
which is it's like, well, good luck.
yeah, for
Good luck
real,
not offending people these days.
yeah,
But it's like there was such a resistance for me, and I didn't know why.
yeah,
and understanding that these little things have like blocked you from showing up the way you could show up in life, hopping on podcasts, talking, those types of things. Like I wouldn't be doing those things if I still carry that belief about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And again, going back to kids, like what if we could just, it's not like those things, these stories, those thoughts like go away completely. It's just about the awareness, like knowing that they're there and going, that I do not believe that about myself. Like I don't believe that. And being able to step in the opposite direction. But you have to be aware of it to even do that.
Yeah. Did you have any, I don't even know, like it's such a tricky thing, right? Because the awareness thing is like you're inherently not aware of what you're not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And so bringing things into the light is, it's like it'd be cool if we could just be like, "Oh, show me the thing." Like no, it's literally the things we take as reality that we're not questioning, that we wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
ever think to question. So was Enlifted the for like what was that like for you? Was Enlifted the first tool that started to do that for you, or
No, it was like so I remember being on a walk, Brooks, where I was like, okay, I had all these things going on with my body, and I'm like, the answer has to be out there somewhere. Like I was like, God, just send whoever in my life, like send me a teacher, a mentor that can teach me, that can show me that whatever I'm not able to see, like bring it in so I can be aware of it, right? That was I remember being on a walk. The next thing I know, I found this place called Dayton Body Garage, who opened me up to like lymphatics, and because they were doing like deep lymphatic work there. And within that session, this guy was asking me all sorts of questions, like and he kept saying like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about like losing weight. He's like, "Why don't you believe you can lose weight?" And then he kept asking like, "Why?" Till I get to the point where I'm just crying because I'm just like I don't know, but this is just something I've been told. But it got to like, "Oh, you're part of this family. They're heavy people. Like you have to watch what you eat all the time." Because if you don't, you're going to end up like this, right? So I was like, oh, that's interesting because I hadn't really thought about like, where did that belief come from? So that was
mm-hmm.
the first opening of like, okay, like I didn't really match it to like, oh, this is a story, this is a mindset, this is a belief that I've been carrying. But I was like, oh, that was weird. That was a weird set of questions. And then I found Human Garage through them actually. Then Human Garage, we're doing all these movements, we're breathing. Gary's like, we have our hands on our organs and we're like talking to our organs, which I'm like, this is weird. Like I let go of all this frustration and anger and I'm like, whatever. It was so weird for me because I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I would have, so then I'm like talking to my body and breathing. And then I'm having these experiences at night where I just feel like from my simple perspective, is like my body was coming back online. Like I was like, it was almost like I was like disconnected from my body and I was like coming back into my body, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I really am like the simplest person. I don't even know what that means, but it was just like, oh, okay, I'm like not disconnected anymore. Then um I heard Mark on Paul Chek's podcast, and he was just talking about mindset and all this stuff, and he mentioned something along the lines of like, if you have people that come to you and are always looking for advice or bringing their stories to you or whatever, he's like, this could be, this work can really help you. And so I first got into it because I was like, I constantly, like at work, it was like the train wreck station at my desk. Like people would just come in, they're just like dump crap on me all day, and I'm like, okay, I really don't know how to help these people. Like I don't even know where to go with this. And it made me uncomfortable, to be honest with you, because I felt like I had to fix the situation, which that's exhausting. And so when I got into the mindset work, thinking I'm going to like, oh, this is going to help my clients, but really I had deeper work to do on myself, which was me carrying stories um, that were related to my mom, her mom, the feminine energy like in our family that I didn't even know that I had that were attached to me. It's like when I realized that and I got into those stories um, and processed through those, it's like everything went away.
Mm.
And I lost, Brooks, you'll love this because I know you're into fitness and health. I lost 25 pounds just by doing fascial maneuvers, lymphatic work, and mindset work. I wasn't running, I wasn't lifting because I was into lifting. Like we did Olympic lifting in college and
Mm.
all of those types of things. I love lifting. I'm actually getting back into it now, but I didn't do it for years because it was too much stress on my body, and I'd flare up, and there would be all sorts of issues. So that rocked my world too because I was like, how do I lose weight and I'm doing less?
Mm.
That didn't make any sense to me, but it does now because it's like if your body can come out of stress, you can actually take in that good food and use it, you know, and then process through your emotions. You're no longer carrying all that weight because it is weight. It's weight. It's toxins. It's you got to get that crap out of your body.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that's how my story came about as far as like, how do I use mindset? How do I bring my body out of stress? Why do I do these things? Um, it's kind of a wild story when you think back to like 18 years of going, spending a lot of money. I mean, I probably spent like 10, 20 grand just searching for someone to tell me what was going on with me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, so mine I never really had a ton of like body manifestations of problems
Hmm.
except for low back. Which it's super interesting. Like the thing that finally clicked a lot of things for me there was PRI. Are you familiar with that?
No, what's that?
Postural Restoration Institute. It's actually
Okay.
out of Lincoln, Nebraska, but you'd probably find it interesting. It's all about like um, well, I'll probably butcher some of these things because you're the physical therapist, but basically, like most of us, well, all of us, our organs are on different sides, right? So
Okay.
we end up in some predictable patterns of like we're a little oriented to the right, we're a little
Hmm.
twisted in the pelvis. And, anyways, like that was the first time because for my low back, I went to PTs, I went to chiropractors, I went to a spinal doctor, I went to all these places. And looking back, it was 100,000% mental and stress. And
Hmm.
however, PRI was the first time I went in and they were like, because I always, it was a pattern like from head to toe, like tight IT band, tight hip flexors, really
Yep.
weak glutes,
Glutes. Yeah.
overactive quads, overactive low back, weak abs, underactive glutes and abs, blah, blah, blah. And I went to this guy, and after all these things, he was like, "This is because of that. Like, this is here, this is here. I bet this will be here." And I was like, "Oh my god!" So I was bought in. Number
Yeah.
one, I believed it was going to work, but number
Hmm.
two, their practice is all about breathing and activating certain muscles. And so, like activating hamstrings, activating glutes, but also deep, deep exhales. And so it's funny looking back because, like, to my like rational brain, everything
Hmm.
makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like this side of my body, oh, I'm twisted there. Okay, so let's start activating these to get these to turn off. Like that makes sense. But I just look back and wonder, like, how much of it was just me actually slowing down and taking a deep breath for 5 to 10 minutes on the floor every day to actually stop trying to, because
Yeah.
before that I
For
was
those
like,
fascial
stretch
lines to
it.
actually like relax and like for
Yeah.
you to be able to like come back into
Yeah.
alignment. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And yeah.
It
Um,
is. It is. It's wild to think about because I do a lot of my PT practice. So when I got out of school, it was like muscles, bones, tendons, nerves, arteries, veins,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like okay, what nerve innervates your quad muscles? Like, okay, that thing's irritated. Let's do some nerve glides there. Like, let's figure this out. Well, now it's okay, let's bring your body out of stress. Let's check the lymphatic system. Let's just, let's look at those fascial lines that are in your body and let's bring flow and movement back to those, right? Because if you can decrease the stress that your body's holding and you can open up, we can unwind, then when you do strengthen and when you do focus on those different areas, which again, you can get, I love those programs like PRI. I love Z Health, like retraining your brain, like how to fire,
Mm.
because we do get in patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Our body gets in patterns, and we're running patterns up here too, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like the breath. That's why I love when people come see me, they're like, this is weird PT. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. It's just, that's why I have to work by myself.
Yeah.
Yep, I get it. So it's like we literally do like breath work, rotational work. Then of course there's always stories that come up because people start crying and they don't know why they're like, I have no idea what this is. Why am I crying? I'm just like, I took like 6 deep breaths. It's because your body can actually, like, you're actually able to feel and come back into yourself to be like, okay, what's going on? But that to me, when you look back on it, it's like, yeah, it makes so much sense now, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
have to, even when I started on my process, like, I didn't, like, looking back now, it's like hindsight's 2020. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is why all this
Right.
stuff worked.
Right.
And so now my process is, I don't want people to have to go through 18 years of trying to figure out what's going on, because that sucks and that's a lot of money.
And it is so disheartening. Like every time you're like, well, it wasn't that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Guess I'll try this supplement. I guess I just, I don't want to talk about peptides because I think peptides have there's a lot of good things, but it's like, you see all these things online. It's like, well, I guess I need a peptide.
Yeah. That well, and that's the thing is that like any one of these things can have utility in the right
Mm-hmm.
context, but gosh, yeah, that I agree because it's like I think there's countless stories of I've been thinking about this a lot lately because it's like any one of those given things out there, yes, it can have a like night and day light switch effect on your life where it's like all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden the world went from flat to round.
Yeah.
But what's challenging is like people that have anxiety or having right
Yeah. Yeah.
mindset, right? You have anxiety or you have brain like these general terms, brain fog. It's just such a fine line because I'm like, yes, absolutely, get your hormones tested. Like
Mm-hmm.
1000% do that. It's just like this careful trotting of when people are in this storyline of like, I'm broken, I can't do anything until I'm fixed. It can be a dangerous pursuit to then be like, oh, now I got to poop in a tray and send my poop into the lab. Now I have to
Mm-hmm.
do this. Now I have to add that supplement to fix me. Like, I'm a huge fan of all of the things, but
Yep.
if you're, and this is super biased from my own journey, if you're going into it with a fix it mentality, you're going to be looking for a reason. Like, your mindset will be self fulfilling. And I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm
No,
just,
I completely understand.
you know what I
I'm
mean?
right there with you. So when people come in to see me, my thought process is, okay, first we need to bring the body out of stress. Let's bring the body out of stress, because when the body's in stress, nothing else is going to work.
Yeah.
I can
Right.
throw all
Okay.
sorts of
Yes.
supplements. I can give you all the exercises. It
Yeah.
doesn't freaking matter,
Yeah.
right? So let's bring the body out of stress. Then let's look at the lymphatic system. Let's make sure your body's able to get all the crap out, right? Okay. Then let's look at the gut. Okay, cool. Let's look at the diet, gut. Let's clean some stuff up. Okay. Now let's move into, so like basically when people come to see me, it's like they have pain that isn't going away.
Mm-hmm.
So they want me, it's like, oh, man, my shoulder hurts. Like, cool. I'm going to look at your shoulder, but I'm also going to look at all these other things, right? But also at the top, bringing the body out of stress is also looking at the mindset. So when people come see me, they have to book in for a mindset call and an evaluation,
Oh, love it.
because
That's
it's
awesome.
like, I don't want to be like Perry Nicholson says, chasing symptoms, chasing the pain. Because if I feel like when I start there and then I work my way around, like then you can bring in like the hormones and stuff, because you check the hormones when people are stressed, guess what? They're going to be jacked up.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to be jacked. You're going to spend 300 or $400 checking your hormones that are already, we already know they're jacked up, right? Let's do this thing first. Let's bring your body out of stress. Look at your mindset. We start your lymphatic system. We start cleaning that crap out. Then let's clean up your diet a bit. Maybe we're giving you some good supplements now because you can actually absorb them, right?
Hmm.
You're not just dumping them into a clogged drain and then you're not getting any effect from them. And then let's look at your hormones.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people get better, right? And they're
Yes.
like, oh,
Yes.
oh, not that. And again, women, they need people, that are going to encourage them to actually look at their hormones. Because if you go to an OBGYN, they're like, nah,
Yeah.
you're just perimenopausal.
Yeah.
Like,
We
you're
see that a
fine. And it's
lot.
like, well, I want to kill people. So,
Yeah.
so maybe you need to help me. But it's like, that's how I see things working. Like, and then by the time you get to the other end of the circle, there's pain over here. Guess what? That pain's usually gone.
Hmm.
Or it's decreased a significant amount that like it's not even on their awareness
Yeah.
level. Like they're like, oh yeah, sometimes. Like I had a lady come to see me and she had like carpal tunnel.
Hmm.
We were working, doing all the things, and then like after a while went past, I was like, when she came in, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, how are you? Like, how are you feeling? She's like, oh yeah, like I don't have any of that pain anymore. I just love coming to see you. I was like, okay, well, probably need a better intake form of like following up, because I was like, what are we? Does this still hurt her? Like, what's going on? Um, but yeah, I mean, I see it all the time with my clients. It's like they just get better,
Yeah.
and it's not because of me. It's not because of me. It's because they're doing that stuff for themselves. And then like I have people say, well, just I feel like I'm never going to see you again. I'm like, you don't need to see me again. You can if you want. You don't need to. This is the whole point.
Yeah.
I
That's the
want you to
point.
not have to. I don't want you to have to see me again. I don't want to have clients for forever. I'm like, send me new ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're done. You're doing great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And that's where we are, where it's like, I mean, I'm sure you know, it runs so rampant in the women's fat loss
Oh
industry
my
because
gosh.
it's
Are we
like,
ever going to be good enough, Brooks? You know what I
right,
mean?
right. It's, and then it's, oh yeah, this client came to me and, nothing was working. And then we checked their labs and their A1C was high. So what we did was, and we're just sitting there like, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
that's downstream of, so like,
Sure.
and when you're talking about that circle, like in our world, the things I'm thinking of when it's not pain as the end goal, but it's body composition change,
Sure.
and these can overlap a little bit, but it's like, okay, lab testing will always be there. It's expensive. All about it. However, you mentioned this earlier in this call. Let's get outside for a walk outside in the morning
Mm-hmm.
for 10 minutes. Like, let's do that consistently. Let's start eating some more fiber. Like, the gut health is a crazy one, right? Because that can turn over. It turns over so quickly, right? Well, some things do. Of course, if there's like a major problem, that's a different story. But it's just like, hey, we can save a lot of money if we focus on the mindset and
Mm-hmm.
some basic,
Basic things to start with,
regulation
right?
practices, yeah, that are going
Mm-hmm.
to it's kills 30 birds with one that an outdoor morning walk, and like you said, get your feet on the grass. Like you do that every day for a month, like how many things are going to get better? Your sleep's going to get better. Well, that makes everything better. It
Mm-hmm.
changes your cravings, it changes your energy, it changes your emotions. It changes your mind. Like it's just, yeah.
And I think it's recognizing those patterns, right? That we're even running. Like I notice even with my phone, because I all my scheduling's on my phone,
yeah,
messaging apps on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you get it because you're running your own business. And I can get stuck like, okay, well, next thing I know, I'm on Instagram and I'm just like, or I'm looking this up. I'm like, this is gone. Like, how long have I been on this?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And the amount of time that I can waste is shocking.
mm-hmm.
And then when I get off of it, I'm like, now what do I do? You know, because it's like,
Yeah, it's yeah,
because I haven't set myself up for the day. So it's
yeah,
like those simple practices of like, what do you want to happen today? Like what, like this is what I just started with my kids, because I thought it'd be fun, um, to do this. And I started this yesterday of like, okay, write out what you want your day to look like. How do you want to feel? You know, they know all this stuff. Like, oh, do you want somebody to say something specific to you? Do you want to go somewhere? Like, what do you want? So we've been doing that. And then at the end of the day, like rereading it just to say like, what happened? Did those things happen? Like, and then like 3 wins. Like, what wins did you have? But I feel like that's fantastic for kids, also adults. It's just a simple practice, like going outside, taking 6 breaths, standing, looking at the sun, standing in the grass, writing out my day. Like, what do I want to happen today? Getting intentional. Maybe 15 minutes. Maybe. Like, I can scoot away a lot more time than that on my phone if I wanted to. You know what I
oh
mean?
my
Like
god,
15 minutes. Maybe a total because I was thinking last night if I tell parents and share parents with parents that I'm doing these types of things, how much time does it actually take with my kids? Because people are working full-time jobs.
yeah.
They got sports, they got um mom's gonna make dinner. I mean, not that dads aren't making, you got all sorts of things going on. How much time does this actually take with your kids? And it was like it maybe 10 minutes, 15 at the most. Like we have that time available if we really want it.
The crazy part is that how much time does it take? And granted, people don't know the extent that some things will have on their life, but
Hmm.
and how much time is it taking you not to have this quieted down though? You know, like in my world, people are like, well, they're thinking about the time commitment. Very valid, of course. You're busy,
Yeah.
but we don't realize how much time we lose in inefficiency when we're constantly distracted, constantly thinking about the problem we're trying to solve.
Hmm.
And so, like, when we can dwindle things down, so in this example, it's like the amount you can gain, it might not be a direct time add to your day, but the
Sure.
amount you can gain in bandwidth and just like time literally changes when your mind quiets down. Like it's
Oh, for
so much
sure.
different. So
Well, and that's why people need mindset coaches,
yeah,
because it's like this sounds so simple for us, right? But people
right.
don't know how to do that. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, what does that look like? It's not journaling. It's not that. It's getting very specific and structuring your time. And the fact that there's people like you out there that are doing that with individuals, it's like priceless. That alone, just to be like, okay, what does your day look like? What are you doing? Because a lot of us don't even know what we're doing.
90 what 95% of our it
What'd
like
you do yesterday? I was like, oh, I mean, I watched the World Cup game that went into like double over, went into overtime, and
yeah.
I mean, but in between, it was funny because in between like stoppage times or whatever, I would do like these froggies just because I was sitting for so long. But it's like simple things like that like I didn't have to change my clothes. I didn't have to do anything crazy. I didn't have to go anywhere. Like, but I felt better during that whole experience. There's just simple things that we can do. But again, it's like shifting our mindset to like what I wrote yesterday morning was like, I move my body and I feel more energized. I didn't get
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym for 75 minutes and I'm going to
Yeah.
do, I mean, I could have,
Yeah.
but that I knew that wasn't going to happen that day because I had other things on the agenda. But when I don't do that, Brooks, when I don't get intentional with my day, like everything's off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a crappy day, but it's like it's off.
Oh my
Things are
gosh.
off. I'm not specific. I'm not getting the things done that I want to get done.
Yeah. Well, and I can't remember his name, but this like super super successful internet marketer, like or in the early days, like
Hmm.
early 2000s, maybe like 2010. Uh, he has a famous talk, and it's really cool because he's like the guy you wouldn't expect to be talking about this type of stuff.
Hmm.
And he tells his story. I'll find it and send it to you, and I'll put it in the show notes. But he tells a story. He was so successful with internet marketing, and he was just like, I'm not happy. And then he attributes his entire transformation of his life, or more so his fulfillment and like meaning in his life, to one exercise, and that exercise being, and I know you're talking about it more on the micro scale, like with your kids,
Hmm.
but he built his perfect day on the macro scale. Like, what do I want my life to look like every single day? And I can't
Hmm.
make it about things I have. I can't make it about like my house. It has to be about what I am doing that
Hmm.
day that will make it perfect. And he wrote it out. And I want to say he maybe like reads it every morning. You know, that stuff's kind of
Yeah, yeah.
semantics, but it's super cool because it's this guy that's like, he's, you know, he made millions and bought like a Ferrari or whatever. And he was just like, this sucks. Like, I hate this. And it's cool to see
That's
the
so, I love
evolution.
that.
I
I
think
love
that
that because
exercise is so cool.
but and you can, like you said, he did it on the macro level. You can do things on the macro level. And I would say with kids, it's like, when
Right.
you're a kid, people are like, what do you want to do when you get older?
Yeah.
Like
It's
people
like,
ask
I
me that
don't
now. I'm
fucking
42 years
know.
old. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But like imagine asking a kid that. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess like doctor, teacher, like I don't know. Lawyer, those are the three things I knew. Um, but like for kids, you do it on the micro level. You can still do it on the macro level,
Mm.
right? Like, okay, what do you want to happen? Like even with like soccer seasons,
Yeah. I was
like
thinking of sports as the first thing that came to
sports.
mind.
Sports is such a huge thing with kids, right? And even writing out like, how do you want your game to go? Oh, you're in this tournament. Maggie, that we were talking about, Maggie level two unlifted coach was talking about her son who was getting ready to do this big swim. Uh, what am I trying to say? It
Neat.
was a swim meet. Oh my gosh, come on. Um, It was a big swim meet. It was at a really big pool. I think they did the Olympic trials there or whatever. And Maggie asked him like, "Oh my gosh, are you excited about tomorrow?" And he was like, she's like, I could tell he was like anxious about it. And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a piece of paper out and we're gonna do something with this." And so she's like, "Let's talk about tomorrow and tell me how you're feeling." And she's like, "Give me a title." And he said, "I'm scared out of my shorts," which I just think is funny because it's like, we were probably wearing a Speedo, but I think they were anyhow. But he wrote out like how he was feeling and then he worked through those things. And like, basically he got to like, I'm excited. Like,
Mm.
I've prepared for this. And she's like, the next day I see him down there on the deck and she's like, he was just beaming. It was like, he was excited, not like this, like scared, because mom, as parents, you can look at your kid and be like, ooh, okay, something's going on over there on the other side of the field or down there on the deck. And she said after they got done, like we're walking back to the car, and she was like, "How do you feel, buddy?" And he was like, "Man, that was awesome. I'm so happy I wrote that story out." And it's
Oh,
just so funny because it's like he had an experience. He's gonna want to do that again.
yeah.
Not because mom told him to do it, because like he actually had an experience with that. That's gonna change how he goes into challenging situations the rest of his life.
I think that's what's coolest about Enlifted. Like, in this world with so many options to do things, you need something to be like, oh shit, that was awesome, to get
Mm-hmm.
buy-in. Like, if you're like, hey, yeah, like if you sit down and meditate like for 10 minutes a day for
It'll change
20
your life. And
years,
you're like, I
yeah,
can't shut this thing off. I don't know
right.
what's going on.
Yeah, like this is terrible. And it's like, how many people are actually going to follow that through versus like, you write out that experience right there, or you write out a story and there's like a huge shift right away. Like, that's cool. And there's nothing better than that buy-in up front. And
Hmm.
also, that Joe Hudson talks about this a lot. That shift of identifying excitement underneath anxiety, like, talk about a skill or an awareness for a
Mm-hmm.
kid to go through their life to like be like, oh, I'm anxious. Like, am I just excited? Like, those are, I think that's, it's
Yeah.
like one of the coolest connections between mind and body, or story and body for me,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like they are in the body, they're the same thing. They're very
Yeah.
similar. And it's just your interpretation in your mind of what's going on below the neck that is saying whether you're anxious, which is generally interpreted as very uncomfortable for people, and excited versus which is freaking enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think even for kids, I hated public speaking. Like when I was
Oh
in
my God.
school, I would be sick. Like my
Yeah.
parents, I was the third kid. My parents were like, whatever, she's fine. She'll make it through. But like, I'd be like, I can't go to school today because I knew I had to present. And I hated it,
Same.
and I will say it's because a lot of times I was presenting on stuff I didn't care about. Like I was like, oh, I don't care about this. Why? And also, I didn't want to go up in Spanish class and speak in Spanish because I hadn't practiced.
That's
I
an
had no
element.
idea what I was saying. But that's a, but that was a learning. It was a point for me when I started presenting in front of teachers and doing the work that I'm doing now, talking on podcasts. It's like, okay, I'm passionate about this, but also I'm prepared. It's a
Mm.
difference when I start feeling that anxiousness or excitement, which to me it's excitement. But it does mimic being anxious,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. But I can be like, oh no no no, I prepared. I'm excited about this. This is going to be fun. It's like I got to tell myself a new story. Again, like you just said, if kids can learn that at age 8, what would be open to them in their lives because of that skill? You can't, I mean, you can't put a dollar amount on that for me and
Oh
my
my God.
kids.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, that's the number. I don't think anything gets in the way more. I mean, that's at the root of like everything. I mean, if you,
Hmm.
I know they're probably a tad bit different if you're an emotion expert, but anxiety, like if you call it fear, like that's everything. Fear of
Hmm.
failure, fear of other people's opinions, fear of your own opinion of yourself, fear of, being rejected. Like
Absolutely.
it's
Have you read
everything.
that book? It's over there. It's called like the seven primal questions. I forget who wrote it, but it's like the questions we're always trying to like answer. Like, am I good enough? Am I safe? Am I loved? Am I wanted? Do I have a purpose? Um,
I haven't heard of this.
there's a couple other ones, but anyways, it's just like at the root, everyone's trying to answer a version of these questions about ourselves.
Mm,
Um, and at the same time they're helping us develop as well, but it's also like he goes into like, okay, if this question gets met with a no, what do you do?
mm-hmm.
Right? Like what are the actions that you typically take? Like it's like, oh, I didn't get that job, what do I do? I get told no, I'm not good enough, I'm gonna go get a pint of ice cream and eat it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just another version of like looking at like, okay, how do we respond when this gets answered with a no? But if we can have the skills to like guide our kids, but also to show them that like in our own lives, because their kids are watching us all the time
Mm-hmm.
and they're paying attention to our words. Which when I started Enlifted and we started the soft talk challenge, and I would do all of the activities that Mark told us to do, and I'd get off and like do them with my husband and my kids, right? So I put the soft talk words up. I had him write it. And I will tell you, Brooks, it's like borderline annoying, when you're talking with your kids and like, Mom, there's a lot of soft talk in that. I'm just like, okay, sometimes I wish you didn't listen as well as you do, you know?
That's awesome. That's like have you seen there's a clip. It's like one of my favorite clips ever. There's a they're in a drive-through. There's like a camera on, and the mom is getting a coffee, and the kid is in this car seat in the back seat and says, "Can I have a cookie or something? Can I have a cookie?" And she goes, "No, sweetie, we have cookies at home." And the kid goes, "Yeah, but we have coffee at home." And
kids just kids just put you right in your place, don't they?
yeah, and the husband's in the passenger seat just dies laughing. And then she's like, Okay, yeah, can we have a cookie too, please? Just
We'll
like,
take three. Thanks.
yeah, you can't
I
argue
love
with
that.
that. Um, that's awesome though. Yeah. It's so and I yeah, because I shared it with my wife. I'm so bad about it with uh or I brought awareness to how much I was doing it. And like with social events, the soft talk is real with me. My tendency to, yeah, maybe like, because she's a social butterfly and oh, this is going on, this is going on. And I'm just like, yeah, maybe, or probably, or maybe, we'll see, possibly. Like, and then she
Mm-hmm.
started calling out me out on it. And I was like, damn it, because it's so real.
Because then you got to be honest,
You
right?
do, you really do.
And it
And
really is freeing when you start going, you're like, no, I don't want to go to that.
yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
can't stand that person. So I'm just not going to go.
Yeah. Well, and there's a balance too, right? Because for me, like my first thought is always like, no, I don't want to do that. But I
Hmm.
think there's a piece where I'm avoiding the feeling of like committing to something and being having to go or
Hmm.
being feeling like that's on the calendar and controlling my time. So it's like my
When I
first
feel like our
answer,
brain always wants us to keep us safe, right?
yes,
So
for
it's
sure.
like, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to have to spend energy here.
Yeah.
And so our first thought is like, no, 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 I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm the person that's just like, I'll quickly be like, mm-mm,
Yeah.
no. And people will say like, oh, Jenny, you're such a extrovert. But once I get there,
Mm.
if you can get me there, I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can say yes.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I agree with you. I'm right there with you.
yeah. See, I'm introverted once I get there. But well, and that's not even it's if I don't feel connected, which is, a whole other uh thing.
Yeah, it depends on who you're with, right?
Yeah. So it's like
Hmm.
that's like the my life's journey work is getting out of that cuz then I'm just like I want to get out of here. Like Irish Goodbye is my jam.
Oh, I love. Oh, yeah, that's. It's so funny. Some of my friends from college, there was something on Facebook about like Irish goodbyes. Like everybody has that one friend, and they all
Yeah.
sent it to me because I would just like
I
peace out.
fucking love doing that. It's so
Like we don't need to say bye.
like the moment you decide you're gonna do it, it's like the most exhilarating thing ever. It's like let's get the fuck out of here. It's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it so much.
I would do that in college too. People would just text like, "God damn it!" It's like, yeah, I'm.
And I don't even think in college I had like cell phones weren't. I
Mm,
think I might have had like a Nextel phone. You know, the ones that did you? How old are you, Brooks?
32.
Oh, okay. So back in the day, they used to have
Right.
these phones where you like click click and you'd like it was a kind of like a walkie-talkie thing.
I don't know if any of my
It
friends
was
had
it
those.
was funny, but we didn't, we just didn't carry our phones around.
Mm,
So no one knew if you were dead or not. They just
yeah,
like waited to see if you showed up at class the next day
that's crazy.
or if you were at practice.
Yeah,
I was
I.
like, thank God there wasn't social media when I was in college.
Oh my god. I know. That haunts me. Like things that are out there of myself. Like or like meeting someone that's like, "Oh yeah, I know you from Lincoln or whatever." Like
You're
my
like, that
wife and
wasn't me.
it's like, "Oh god. Don't tell me that." I don't um
Oh, that's great. That's
uh
great.
well, cool. Yeah, what else?
And now you're a podcaster and you can have conversations for hours.
Yeah.
It's just the space that you're in, who you're talking to. It makes a difference.
Yeah, I think it's there's an extra element there when it's like when it's a big group, and I think it's like I don't know, yeah, because one on one I don't mind at all. Like I really enjoy it, and for some reason in groups it makes it way more challenging for me.
Yeah, groups and Zoom sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lady I'm working with right now. We're doing a event in Canada. Actually, Mark's going to be there.
Oh, I think
speaking.
I've
It's called,
seen posts on
have you
this.
seen it? It's called the Ignite Within event.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's a wellness event. We're gonna have people coming to speak. There's gonna be breath coaches. We're gonna do fascial maneuvers. And it's in Halliburton, Canada. Um, I don't know what was I telling you this for? What were we talking about?
Group
Oh,
Zoom.
so I met this lady who is putting the whole thing on, but we met in person, and she was like, Jenna, she's like, you're really funny. But she said that does not come across via Zoom or like on Instagram. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like it's just it's different, you know? Like I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm not I it doesn't come across very easily for me, especially when we're in like groups of Zooms, and there's like a bunch of people. It's hard to like for me to feel the energy of like what's
Yeah.
happening. Are people feeling it? Everyone's on mute. Sometimes they're looking at you, sometimes they're not. Like
It is weird. It's hard. Yeah. Yeah. No, I
so
feel
we're
that.
gonna be in person, so it'll be better. I'm
Yeah.
glad she met me in person because she was really funny when she said that. I was like, oh wow, well I could work on that or not. I'll
Right.
just see people in person.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. Um, okay, so gosh, I feel like there's a lot of other conversation we could go. Maybe we'll just have to do this again and talk more because I want to like go into the fascia conversation because I don't know a ton about that. Um,
Yeah, we should have another conversation about that because I feel like that would be really good for your audience.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I can come back on and tell you about how Enlifted Parents went.
When is it?
Okay, so it starts September 27th, which is a Sunday. It'll be 4 p.m. Eastern time, 90 minutes. And then we'll go for the next six Sundays.
Sweet,
So that's when that starts.
cool. And then is there anything else you you have going on? You said you do all your stuff locally.
Yeah, well, people can come see me if they're in the Dayton area. People can come see me individually in person. We got Enlifted Parents coming up, which is online, and then the Ignite Within event, which is an event in Canada, Halliburton. That's 4 days, 3 nights. Tons of awesome speakers. Our guy Mark England's going to be one of the main speakers there. That's September 3rd through the 6th. And then have you ever heard of the Omega Institute?
No.
So it's in Rhinebeck, New York. I'll be there with a few other Human Garage coaches teaching for a week. Um, and so we'll have Monday through Friday doing movement, breath work, mindset work there. So that'll be fun. That's at the end of September. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on this fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
It all happens at once. Do you feel like that happens with you too? There's just like it's like everything's happening right now.
Yeah, for sure. That was like around like Enlifted level 1 and 2 for me because I went back to back and I had some other things going on and yeah, yeah, 100%. Uh
It's always happening at once. There's like
yeah.
9,000 things going on. But lots of opportunities to like be in person, which I love.
Yeah, that's great.
And the parent workshop is online. And with Enlifted, things are just different. This is a different class. When you've probably signed up for courses online and they're pre-recorded. Whereas Enlifted, this is yes, it will be recorded, but we want people there live because it makes a huge difference. And so it's a completely different setup, and the cost is $489, but both parents can come for that cost.
Sweet.
Or if you're like, we have somebody that is like a single mom and the grandparents coming with her,
Mm.
so they can both have it, which I love so much because it's where are you gonna get that kind of support at that price,
Yeah,
and for the outcomes that you're gonna get, it's gonna be fantastic.
that's fantastic. That's awesome. Well, we'll I'll throw the links below for
Okay.
people. But yeah, I can't reiterate that enough. Like the in-person experience with Enlifted work is just so much different than I can't imagine just like catching a replay and like trying to do some of that. It's just, it's,
Especially with some of those reads in class, right, Brooks?
oh oh,
That was my favorite part.
I always share that with client because
I don't know that I've laughed that hard since I was in class with you, to be honest.
I have my clients do a Billy story, and so I'll
Hmm.
like, because when I'm like that first call, like I'm like, all right, read it out loud. They're like, what? And
Yeah.
I
Wait a
always,
second. I didn't know I was gonna have to say this out loud.
yeah,
Hmm.
and I'm always sharing. It's like, you know, here are the things I had to do with my training, so I'm not going to make you do that. And they're like, okay, this doesn't seem as bad. Um,
Oh, it is a fun part. Thanks for having me on today, Brooks.
yeah, thanks for coming on. This was great. I feel like there's so much more we can talk. So we'll definitely do another one. But yeah, I'll throw all the uh, the links and the things in the bottom, and we'll see you all next week.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Brooks.
Yep. See ya.
I constantly like at work, it was like the train wreck station at my desk. Like people would just come in, they're just like dump crap on me all day. And I'm like, okay, I really don't know how to help these people. Like I don't even know where to go with this. And it made me uncomfortable, to be honest with you. Because I felt like I had to fix the situation, which that's exhausting. And so when I got into the mindset work, thinking I'm gonna like, oh, this is gonna help my clients, but really I had deeper work to do on myself, which was me carrying stories um, that were related to my mom, her mom, the feminine energy like in our family that I didn't even know that I had that were attached to me. It's like when I realized that and I got into those stories um, and processed through those, it's like everything went away. And I lost, Brooks, you'll love this because I know you're into fitness and health. I lost 25 pounds just by doing fascial maneuvers, lymphatic work, and mindset work. I wasn't running, I wasn't lifting because I was into lifting. Like we did Olympic lifting in college and all of those types of things. I love lifting. I'm actually getting back into it now, but I didn't do it for years because it was too much stress on my body, and I'd flare up, and there would be all sorts of issues. So that rocked my world too, because I was like, how do I lose weight and I'm doing less? That didn't make any sense to me. But it does now because it's like if your body can come out of stress, you can actually take in that good food and use it, you know, and then process through your emotions. You're no longer carrying all that weight because it is weight. It's weight, it's toxins, it's you got to get that crap out of your body. Um, but yeah, that's how my story came about as far as like, how do I use mindset? How do I bring my body out of stress? Why do I do these things? Um, it's kind of a wild story when you think back to like 18 years of going, spending a lot of money. I mean, I've probably spent like 10, 20 grand just searching for someone to tell me what was going on with me.